Brand Coaches Franchising 101 webinar series. I'm your host, Tim Parmeter. Today, we are very excited for the spotlight as it shines on a franchise we really feel is an absolute hidden gem in the franchising world. These guys are the leader in business performance coaching. They feature a very low startup, low overhead, and multiple revenue streams that will allow owners to build a huge business for themselves. Before we get to our guest, I want to let everybody know who we are. Fran Coach is a national search firm, and we are dedicated to working with individuals interested in owning a franchise. We're partnered with over 500 of the top franchisors in the country, spanning nearly 60 industries. We have two basic goals. Now, number one is to simply educate clients enough to know if franchise ownership is the right path. If it is, goal number two is to help each client find the absolute best franchise for them to own. Never ever any fee for our service. And due to our in-depth client assessment process, everything that we're doing is very individualized and personalized for each of our clients. So that is us. But now let's get to the good stuff. Our franchise that we're talking to today is Focal Point Coaching, and our guest is the Director of Recruitment for Focal Point, Mr. Scott Hartsfield. Scott, how are you today, buddy?
I'm fantastic. Thank you very much, Tim. Good afternoon, everyone.
We are. Thanks for joining us, man. Always good to chat with you, and excited to let everybody learn about Focal Point. I hope you are strapped in and ready to go. I have got a whole slew of questions for you today, and try to get through as much as we can about Focal Point. But just I'll lob one into you there, my friend. Just give us a high level. What's the kind of the scoop on Focal Points, and just tell us maybe a little of the story and a little about what you guys do.
Absolutely, be happy to. Focal Point is a business coaching company by way of a franchise. Basically, what that means is we have developed a coaching curriculum that allows folks that are coming out of the business world to come in and become a business coach, where we coach, small business owners, business leaders, and help them improve the overall efficiency of their business with our proven content. So we've been doing this now for about 20 years. As in the business coaching space, we've been recognized as best in our category with regards to what we do. So if you are thinking about an opportunity where you want to kind of leverage what you've been doing for the past 20 plus years or so and have very similar type conversations and help people out, this is a great opportunity to consider.
Excellent. So the obviously a lot of folks that we work with are, in fact, most of them, very talented, very successful professionals. They've been in the corporate world, running a big chunk of somebody else's business, managing, teams, processes, et cetera. Right. So that kind of training development is in their blood a little bit, but it's one thing doing that for a company. Now to kind of take that on their own, it can get seem a little daunting at times, right, for folks. So um, but talk to us a little bit, I guess, really Focal Point, some of the things that you guys are going to do to help train and coach a new person coming in as a coach and an owner.
Yeah, absolutely. So you nailed it. Most folks that draw close to Focal Point, when they look back over their career, what stood out was the coaching and mentoring. They love the fact developing people and helping others, and so it's a natural transition to think about getting into the consulting world, the coaching world, but also a very daunting task to think about doing all of that on your own. What are you going to talk about? How are you going to get clients? What's your brand going to look like? What's your website going to look like? All of those things you really have to think about if you're going to try to do this on your own. If you join Focal Point, we actually have all of that built directly into our process, which means we're going to train you. We're not just going to teach you how to be a business coach. We're going to teach you how to run a coaching business, which means we're going to help you set up all of your social media. We're going to make sure that your website's fully set up. We're going to make sure that you know exactly how to get clients the right way. All of that's done in our onboarding support. One of the things that a lot of our coaches love and give a lot of credit to their success is their mentor coach. Every single Focal Point coach that comes into our system, regardless of their experience, regardless of their success in our system, they have their own practice mentor. This is a proven focal point coach that has invested just like they have, but has built up a very successful coaching practice that will work with them proactively on a weekly basis. So not just someone where you can lean on, but someone that's actively involved in your success and driving that. So all of that's done in our onboarding process. Um, the certification training. We just completed one, as a matter of fact. We had a certification class that just completed 2 weeks ago, and we take that time to really play out, what this business could look like and should look like. There's lots of role playing, lots of best practices, marketing strategies, to go out and develop your business. Our goal is to have everyone that's completed our training class to have their very first client a month after they've completed training. We just got a report back today that we had several people complete training, and every single one of them have clients within 2 weeks of completing their training. But we always tell folks, hey, listen, training does not stop after certification. This is an ongoing support. This is why being part of a franchise, it's not just some logins to some great information. Rather, you're now part of a community. So folks that are considering doing this on their own, they're on their own, right? Folks that joined Focal Point, they're in business for themselves, but they're not by themselves. We have a very, strong, ongoing, support that they're going to have, and mentorship ongoing. So all of that is part of the process, and why so many folks are calling Focal Point home.
The one thing I hear at times, you have people that are like, oh, why couldn't I do such and such franchise on your own? And the short answer is you could, but I think it's overwhelming to realize how much goes into that, right? And one thing from a consulting standpoint, people that try to do that on their own, they're limited really to their niche of what they've done in the past, right? If I want to start Tim's consulting firm and I came out of, the auto industry, I'm going to consult on the auto industry because that's the only thing I'm going to have the credentials to do, right? Whereas with this, I always look at it and go, well, if I become a Focal Point owner, I'm trained in everything in every industry as the things you're going to take people through, and now I become the local owner of basically an international firm, right? And
Yeah.
and so I know that's one of the things is you and I may end up doing on this a little bit, jumping around. So
Yeah.
for the folks on
No.
this, forgive my inability to go through a PowerPoint in order, right? but talk about that a little, because I think that's key. This is not just one industry or one issue that you guys are focused on with your clients.
Right. Yeah. Great point. So, when folks are thinking about, again, getting into this space, you nailed it right on the head. They're very limited to what they specifically bring to the table. One thing that they pick up on that they don't necessarily think about until they're in our process is, I've spent the last 20 plus years working in, one, maybe two industries maximum. When we go out and coach, we're not industry specific, and they love the fact that they can, maybe work in a manufacturing company and coach them, or work in the healthcare field, and they've never worked in healthcare. And one of the misconceptions about our business is we are not consulting. And there's a big difference, right? There's a big difference between consulting and coaching. We are coaches. We ask the critical questions of the business that they're not asking or thinking about on a regular basis, which allows us to cast a wide net and not pigeonhole ourselves in a specific industry. Most of our clients, our coaches have clients not just outside of their industry, but also all over the world. We've got very open territories that allow you to leverage the people that that are just not specifically in your state as well. So great point.
I want to get into a little bit more of the things that you work with them. But talk a little bit about kind of who those kind of target clients are for your owners.
Yeah, very good question. So our target client is really a couple things. You'll see here, small to medium-sized type businesses. We work directly at the owner level. And so if you think about, a business owner, and you put yourself in their shoes, running $1 million to $50 million a year business, it's a stressful position, right? A lot of the times they're lacking in resources. They're wearing 3 and 4 and 5 different hats. They're working 7 days a week. It's, That's what happens when you're in a small business. And when you operate your business, because just like, Tim had mentioned earlier, when we start things, we tend to start things because of our expertise in a specific category or industry. Well, that's the same thing in small business. A lot of small businesses that start their business, their skill at that level is in the technical thing that they do, whatever product or service that they do. And so what we do with those businesses is we come in and ask questions and coach them on the business side of what they do, not necessarily the product or the service that they do, but the business side of what they do, bringing that fresh perspective. And so really, really palatable at the small to medium sized business level. They really appreciate our fresh perspective and the questions that we're asking. But we also work with a lot of folks that are self-employed professionals, realtors, doctors, accountants, attorneys. Again, same exact situation. These are folks that have been trained for a specific service. But because of what they do, if you're running a medical practice, you're technically the CEO of that practice. There's other things that fall on your plate that have nothing to do with doctor-patient scenario. And we coach them on that. We coach them on how to run a successful practice, a successful business. But we also work with leaders, managers, VPs, CEOs, folks that are in executive leadership positions. We do a lot of leadership coaching, especially folks that have just stepped into those roles. We coach them because there's, again, a lot of things that they're going to have to do in that role that they may not necessarily be fully equipped for. So we also have a lot of larger corporations that will hire us to come in and coach them. And it's actually how some of our coaches got here. They were coached before. They saw the value of it and wanted to step in on the other side and see what that's all about.
I think one of the things for people coming out of the corporate worlds, it just gets beat into our head in the corporate. When you're in the corporate world, it gets beat into your head. Industry is the end all be all, right? And so many times people, and you and I know one that's a Focal Point owner. Her first job out of high school was working at a bank as a teller, and then 30 years later, she's a vice president for the same bank, right? And you get stuck in there because it's hard to transition from a vice president of sales of, say, banking to vice president of sales for pick another industry, because that next industry is going to go, well, you don't really have any experience in our industry, right? And as ridiculous as that is, and people get frustrated with that, this is the opposite of it, right? You've got the skill set and the talent to come in and lead and be that kind of coach and mentor for people, regardless of industry. Because on that slide, right, a realtor, doctor, consultant, accountant, I sincerely hope a Focal Point coach isn't going into the doctor's office to teach them and consult them on doing a colonoscopy, right? So at least not my doctor, right? So, but all of those things, if it's staffing, marketing, the digital side of things, whatever those different kind of skill
Right.
sets are, those are across the board, right? So it
Yeah.
gives you that. And then the other thing I think, because this is so powerful and it touches on so many things, you're spending a really long time. Talk a little bit about that kind of retention rates that your owners have with their clients.
Very good question. So, I'll go back to consulting versus coaching because they're so different, and it's not an either or situation. It's just a preference situation. When we are working with our clients, we are asking those critical questions. We're building a relationship. We're taking them through a process. These engagements are long term. These are not project oriented. We're not coming in and fixing their, telecom or something like that. We're actually coming in and, giving them some better tools, giving them some better information to ultimately change the trajectory of where this business is going. We're interested in growth. We're interested in leadership, vision, and taking that business in that direction. These are long-term engagements. Most of our coaches on average work with a single individual client over 2.5 years. Okay. There's several coaches. We've been doing this, like I said, for, about 20 years. We've got coaches that are in, year 13, year 14 that still have some of the same clients when they started 13, 14 years ago. These are very long-term relationships.
And I say this kind of half serious, half joking sometimes to folks. It's kind of like therapy for
Mhm.
owners, right? Because as a business owner, you don't have anywhere else to go. And it's the well, nobody that you're going to go talk to is going to necessarily understand what you're going through as an owner of a $15 million revenue company, right? And so having somebody that gets it and that can really be there as your coach, your guide, your confidant along the way, is huge. And then the fact that you're constantly looking at the different things in which ways in which you can help them improve their business, or then come back, 2 years later, things may change. May need to look at our sales and marketing again, and how can we tweak it and improve it. And having that go-to person, really kind of that trusted confidant, is huge. So that's
Yeah,
fantastic. Um,
yeah.
Talk a little bit about, um, I guess, some of the things you guys look for in an owner.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a very important piece for us. I'll just jump straight down to the fourth bullet here. Embodies the focal points of of culture. Our culture here is very real, and it's something that we think about on a regular basis when we're onboarding new coaches, and just even when we're developing our coaching practice. Obviously, when people are starting new businesses, right? The first thing we think about is we want a business that can create wealth, create income. But that's not the only thing that draws people here. And if it is, it's probably not a good fit. We are looking for folks that want to learn. They want to continue to grow just in knowledge. I have a gentleman that's going to be joining us here very soon, and he told me one of the number one things that he likes about our business is the fact that he will grow personally, that he will grow. That's huge. I mean, that's one of our focal points of culture. It's not the only, but that's very important to him. So he's looking at personal growth. But folks that are interested in making an impact, we believe that at Focal Point, we are the pebble on a pond, right? So if you think about just a clear, just peaceful pond, and if you were to drop a pebble, well, a ripple effect starts to happen. We believe we're that pebble. We believe that we're the ones making that initial impact, be it working with a restaurant as an example, that, helping that restaurant to run better. They're going to have better employees, more customers. It's going to impact the local community. And that's where we play. A lot of our coaches, they love to serve. They want to be that person. And so, of course, in order to have these types of conversations, you need to be passionate about what you do. Passion is one of our culture points, being able to do what you want to do. Integrity, folks that can communicate well. Okay. This is about balance. I was speaking with one of our coaches earlier this week, and he was giving me a heads up that he's going to be taking all of July off. He did it last year. He does it every year. He takes an entire month off, and that fits right in our culture. Balance. This is not just about making money. There is money to be made, but it's not the only thing.
The and there's always places, whether it's franchises or businesses or heck, probably some households that have mission statements, that they're going to put in a little frame and hang up on the wall. And um, just from our experience with Fran Coach clients that have gone through the process with Focal Point, every single one has come away absolutely just blown away by the culture. And to the point of, there was a couple years ago, we had a gentleman went to Discovery Day, and I'll never forget, after the next day we spoke, and I said, well, how'd it go? And he goes, he's kind of referenced the old, was it the old Jerry Maguire movie of, like, you had me at hello. He's like right at the start, that, the CEO is reading off the mission statement. And the guy was like, that was me. He goes, I knew I was in the right room. I was in the right place based on that. And then everybody else that he had spoken to prior to, and then that day, completely embodied that. Right. So it's one thing to say it, but my gosh, my experience with Focal Point over the years, myself and everybody that's gone through, has just been absolutely completely impressed by that. It's those are not just words on a slide, or in a in a $5 picture frame on the wall in the Focal Point headquarters. You guys live and breathe that every day, which is
Thank you.
fantastic. So
Thank you.
very, very cool. Talk. I know we'd focused on the coaching, right, that you're doing, the one-on-one with that business owner. So really, I kind of two things I want to throw in here. talk about like people are sometimes going to go, oh my gosh, I got to find 100 businesses that I can work with so I can pay the bills and make it work. But that's not even close to reality. So kind of share with us a little bit about what that kind of coaching capacity looks like for an owner.
Absolutely. Yeah. So one of the things I love about our business, aside from all of the things we've talked about today with the impact and the pebble on the pond and making a difference, is the business side of it, actually. It's a very functional, very rewarding business. We have what I would call a very low volume requirement business. You don't need 100 clients, you don't need 50 clients, which allows us to make sure that we are working with people that want to work with us. We don't have to worry about a high close rate on signing a bunch of clients because we don't need a bunch of clients. Most of our very successful owners are working with maybe 8 to 10 clients. And just to translate that into a workload, we spend about an hour a week with a client. Okay. And so this is an opportunity, number one, to work from home. You don't need an office to do this. Number two, a lot of our coaches do these virtually. I was on the phone with one of our coaches in Texas, and she has 8 clients that she's currently coaching right now. She's a year into the business, and she's transitioned 100% of her coaching, those 8 clients, to virtual. The neat part about that, she coaches those 8 clients in 2 days. She doesn't have them spread throughout the week. She's got, a Monday day of coaching and a Friday day of coaching. And so there's a lot of balance, again, coming back to our focal points of culture, within how to operate this. And there's multiple revenue streams. So one of the things a lot of folks love about our business is, and we encourage this because they're going to hear a lot of stories when you come through the due diligence process. You're going to hear how, like the person I just mentioned, Trisha, how she built her business, or how Rich built his business. We will encourage you, take those stories, but go out and build it the way that looks best for you, right? If one-on-one coaching is something that you have a passion for, go out and build a coaching business that's more one-on-one. If you prefer group coaching, go out and build a business that has group coaching clients. If you prefer to work with executives, do that. If you prefer to work with small businesses, do that. If you prefer to do training or workshops or seminars or speaking engagements, do that. We have the content and you'll be trained on all of these different things, not just one. So there's multiple revenue streams associated with this. And reminder, the volume is extremely low. And then lastly, just the margins, because of the structure of our business. We don't have to worry about bricks and mortar. We don't have to worry about employees. We don't have to worry about inventory. This is pretty much a computer and a phone and maybe a vehicle if you're traveling back and forth to your clients. And so very, very high profit margins, way outside of your traditional. We're probably in that 90% profit margin realm.
So this is one of those sometimes people kind of hear a little bit about and go like, oh my gosh, it's too good to be true, right? But obviously that's part of the fit from all of this. So we've got all these different revenue streams. We've got a fantastic culture. You've got as a focal point coach, you're also being coached constantly by somebody to help you grow your business to what you want it to be. You got the lifestyle, you got the balance. But let's get down to the really important stuff here, Scott. What's it going to cost, man? What's this? Talk to us about that kind of investment standpoint and what that looks like.
Absolutely. So in my many years of franchise experience, we are classified in the lower end range of investment. Okay. Under 100, even under 75K. So our all in initial investment is $66,000 flat to join. Which a lot of folks, like you said, too good to be true. They hear all of that great stuff and they're expecting to see something that's going to be $150,000 or $200,000. The reason why we're able to, offer this such amazing business at $66,000 is because there's not a lot of expenses associated with this other than the content and the support and the training. That's where a lot of those dollars go. There's no big build out or anything like that. So, relatively low investment, $66,000. Most of our coaches, because they're coming out of corporate America, they've got a little nest egg in their retirement funds. And I'm sure that, Tim can kind of talk to you about how to leverage those funds, but a lot of folks are leveraging money that's just been sitting around, and in today's case, is kind of depleting, and putting that in towards starting a business. 66K, very low overhead costs, like I talked about. Here's another thing I like: fixed royalties. We have leveled the playing field. Every single coach in our system pays the same fee, right? And the reason we do that, we live in a world where there is no ceiling, right? There's no cap, right? We don't live in a world where, we've maxed all of the businesses that could be coached. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of businesses that a coach could coach. And so because of that, you have folks that can really break through levels that people don't necessarily think about. And folks at that level don't want to be penalized by paying a hefty percentage of that back to the franchisor. They say, hey, listen, why just because I built it big, I shouldn't pay the biggest royalty. And we believe in that. That's in our abundant driven type culture. So we have a fixed royalty. Everybody pays the same fee. It's flat rate fee, very simple. No geographical restrictions. You can literally coach a client anywhere in the world. And ask our coaches. They do. They have coaches all over the world. In fact, a lot of them, when they're thinking about their schedule, they proactively think about time zones in other countries. A lot of them don't, they're going to do big group coaching sessions online. They'll make sure that they book them on Thursdays, just in case they've got some folks from Australia on the line, so that it's not Saturday, it's actually Friday for them. And the diverse revenue streams we talked a little bit about, there's multiple levels to the revenue streams. And so when folks come through our process and speak with our coaches, feedback that I consistently get back is two things. One, consistent message across the board, right? That's it, which tells you that we are sticking to our guns with regards to who we're bringing into the business to make sure that they're a fit. That's number one. So we have your best interest at heart when you join, making sure that you're a great fit. Number two, that they hear outside of the consistent messages, there's more than one way to build this thing. And that's the incredible thing about this, is we really want this business to look and feel exactly like you. And like I said, of course, with all of that, and the fact we don't have a lot of stuff, physical stuff that we have to maintain, our margins are significant, up 90%.
Which is pretty much unheard of, right? And because of because of that, what are we missing, man? What didn't we talk about thus far that you'd really want people to know about Focal Point?
I think we've covered a lot. So I think one of the things that you'll walk away with is this, the one thing that folks tend to, like, man, this is too good to be true. It's like, that means you found the right business, because this is not a fit for everyone, right? This isn't. This is a great fit for people that embody what we just talked about, right? And so when you're thinking about a business or our business, and you want something that is impactful and something that speaks to you, it's hard to let it go. It's like finding the right mate or spouse. When you just know. And so our process of due diligence, very educational, right? We want to make sure that there's a fit. So we're in this with you. You'll be asking questions. We'll be asking questions. And so if you're interested, just take a look up underneath the hood, come through our process. We'll either become friends or business partners.
Awesome, man. I love it. And that's, you said something, you were talking about that too good to be true. That is how this process is supposed to work. And as we're guiding our folks through, regardless of the franchise, when people get all the way to the end, and nobody believes me when I say this at the beginning, but when you get all the way to the end, it should not feel like a decision. You should get there and go, yeah, this is it. Fingers start snapping. Let's go, let's go, let's go. So that's, and again, it's okay to look at Focal Point and go, hey, they're a great brand, just not the right fit for me. That's okay too. But when you start having that, oh my gosh, this is too good to be true, that usually means, and you've done all your due diligence, usually means you found the right thing. So that's outstanding, man. Scott, thanks so much for joining us today. Great talking to you, and love hearing about Focal Point.
Tim, it was absolutely my pleasure. And If any of you have an interest in taking an initial step to figure out if focal point business coaching might be for you, happy to connect and have a conversation. Thank you so much, Tim. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no, you're welcome, man. And hopefully this will help enlighten those interested in franchise ownership to some of the amazing possibilities that are out there. If anybody would like to learn more about becoming a franchise owner for Focal Point or any of the 500 plus brands we're partnered with, let's please schedule a call. We'd love to chat. Here's all the fun ways you can reach out to us. Go old school, pick up the phone, email, find us online, francoach.net, and we're all over social media. We promise to be your friend if you follow us there. Again, any interest in this, there's never any fee for our service. So we encourage you to take that first step today to help create your better tomorrow. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Stay safe, and we look forward to connecting with you soon. Have a great day.